Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie and I love sharing my obsession for making handmade journals on my channel with you. Today I'm going to be making my November daily journal. Last month I posted a video of me making my October daily journal, and in that video I explained how I wanted to start making a journal that was just for 1 month. I like to switch things up often. I like to change up the aesthetic every month. So this month my journal was Halloween themed. I've so enjoyed creating in this for this month, and it's really gotten me into the Halloween spirit. But if I'm being honest with myself, I am over it. I'm ready to move on to a new month. This one, I still have like another week and a half in this journal, and it's already like, this is how thick it is. But I love that, and I love making my journals very thick and chunky, and just having something really hefty to grasp onto. I love it. But anyway, I'm ready to move on. I've been really up in the air about what I want to do for this month, like just what kind of style do I want and what kind of cover. So I made this with a padded Amazon mailer, and I just really like the texture of it. I like that it was a soft cover. It makes it really easy for it to expand all month long. And oops, just pull that out. And I just really like the soft feel of this. So I'm not going to do another padded mailer, but I am going to do a soft fabric cover, I think. And I just saw Johanna Clow posted a video of some soft cover journals she made, and she actually used felt and covered it in fabric, and I knew that sounded perfect. I wanted to do that. I will show you everything that I have here, and I'll walk you through the making of everything. Okay, so here are the supplies that I have to make the cover. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible for myself, so this is all I'm going to be needing, plus my sewing machine. Basically, I had this full piece of felt, but I knew I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. I'm taking this scrap piece of felt, and I'm going to use this piece to extend this piece a little bit, just to make the cover a little bit wider. So I did some markings already just so I knew what I was doing. It's 9 inches by, it's going to be 6.5 inches. I folded this over to be 6.5 inches, and then I marked how much of this scrap felt that I needed to make this back cover 6.5 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. And then to attach this, I think I'm just going to use some Tyvek tape. And I've never done this before, but I'm thinking Tyvek tape should hold the felt. Just making sure that this is all lined up. I'm just going to add a little bit extra on the top and the bottom here. Perfect. So now when I fold it in half, it does measure out to be about 6.5 inches. So this is going to be the perfect size that I had in mind. And then this is the fabric that I'm planning on using. I just liked the idea of having a more simple cover, more simple than the Halloween one that I just had. And I just like the idea of having a vibe that's a little bit more cleaner, a little bit brighter. It's still going to be on the darker side just with having the earth tones and everything, and obviously you know how I love to make things look more vintage and grunge things up, but there will be less black than there was in the Halloween journal. I'm not big into like super dark colors like black in my journaling, so using a lot of black this month was quite different for me, and honestly that's probably in part why I'm over it. It's just a little bit dark for my taste, so I am excited to kind of brighten it up a little bit. And I believe this fabric is from Hobby Lobby. So what I'm going to do now is put some glue on this and then stick it on the fabric piece. And I'm not going to overly glue it, just enough to keep the fabric sticking to the felt. That way when I go and sew around it, it doesn't move a lot. You just want to make sure that you smooth out any globs of glue, because that will seep through the fabric and then you'll have like a big glue spot. So, and then I'm going to stick it just up in this upper corner here, leaving about an inch around the top and the side. All I'm gonna do is cut off these corner pieces. So just a little bit of Fabri-Tac or Fabrifix, whatever you got. And just smoothing out the globs of glue and folding over each piece. And now I am going to take just a little bit of extra glue and just add some to these corners here, just because I don't want them to flip up when I am sewing. Okay, so I went ahead and sewed around the edges with this really pretty gold metallic thread. I also took this over to the steamer and decided to just take the extra 2 minutes to steam out those crease lines, because I knew they were going to drive me nuts over time. So anyway, so those are gone now. So this is what I'm going with on the inside of the cover. I literally just went onto Canva and searched for autumn leaves designs, and this was one of the digitals that came up, so I thought this was cute. This is gonna go, I'm gonna cut this in half, and then these are gonna be the 2 panels on the front, inside of the front and back cover. And then I also have this random scrap piece of felt, but it's like a really thin felt, and I'm going to use this for the spine. Just right down the middle. I want to cut this to be the same size as these panels, because if I cut it to be the same size as the cover, you're going to have this little lip poking out of the top. So I will be cutting this to be 8.5 inches tall. I know this is a paper cutter, so it doesn't cut felt, but I normally will just use this to kind of, it just like skims the top layer of it and creates a line for me, and then I just go in with scissors and cut it all the way through. I'm measuring this to be 8.5, though this is really thin felt, so it did cut through that. And that's what the inside will look like. And then I also cut up these little pieces of lace trim, and I'm going to attach these underneath these panels, and these are going to be the little tie closures. I want to sew these on. So I'm going to put down just like a little bit of glue just to hold them in place. So while that is drying a little bit, I'm going to rough up these edges a little bit and then ink them up. And to do that, I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and go around the edges a little bit. I like to make things look like they've been worn in and well loved. And it's okay if you rip it a little bit. At least for me, I don't care. Also, I just recently, like within the last couple months, I got Canva Pro. And I did that initially because it was the only way that I could make some really more like high quality looking thumbnails for my YouTube channel. And then I discovered, once I already had it, that there was so much more graphics and photos available to me on the Pro. And so now that I have that, I have been loving just going through all of the different like graphics and different designs and creating my own. And that's how I made the Halloween lined papers that I offer on my Ko-fi account. And I also plan on offering more free digital downloads for you guys. And that's how I'm making them. I'm just using my Canva account and also to use for my own personal use, which has been really nice. So I went ahead and sewed on these lace trims. And the next thing I want to do is I want to glue down this spine piece first. And I'm going to take that same glue and glue down these panels. Okay, so off camera, I decided I am going to sew around these edges just because even with the glue, it just wasn't laying flat enough and it looked really weird. So anyway, I just went ahead and sewed around, but I actually really like how it turned out. I like the little extra detail of the gold thread on the inside as well as the outside. And then the bobbin just had regular, like a cream colored thread. And I'm fine with having the variety of like the gold and the cream. And I think it just adds a little bit of extra interest. I went ahead and collected a bunch of papers that I'm going to use in the signatures, and I grunged them up. I sewed around some of the edges and folded them up and made pockets out of some of them. So this was just 2 of these like craft paper envelopes, and I just took the fold of the one on this one and stuck it inside the pocket of this one and glued it in there. So this will be a page in the signature, just like that. And I could have glued this down, but I'm actually going to leave this as is because I figure whenever I get to this page, I might want the flap open, create maybe another tuck spot, or I don't know, add another page on this down the road. So I'm just going to leave that as is. Sorry if this isn't really making much sense, but you'll see how it all comes together when I put all of the pages in their signatures. So I did the same thing to these envelopes that I did to these ones, and I just took the flap that was on this envelope and put it inside the pocket of this envelope and glued it in. And again, I left the other side of the flap open because I might want to use that down the road. And just another plain envelope. Some music sheets, and this is just some brown packing paper. Oh, actually, I need to trim this down. Let me do that. 1 second. I really love this crinkly craft paper. It's not even craft paper. It's just like packing paper that you get in like Amazon orders or whatever. I love saving this stuff. And then I just kind of like fold it out and flatten it, and makes a really cool like crinkly journaling paper. And this was just a piece of cardstock that I printed this vintage florally pattern on it, and then I just folded up the bottom and sewed around the edge here to create a little pocket. And then this page is the same digital as this one, only this one I just folded it in this way rather than folding it up. I thrifted these the other weekend. They're just little paper placemats that you would see at like a diner or something. So I just used one of these. I folded in the edges and then folded it up to create a little tuck on the bottom here. And I'll link all the printables that I use. So there's 22 papers here, which is less than what I used in my October daily journal. And I think I'm going to use up all the pages in my October daily, but since I'm going to be including things like this envelope and then it'll have this extra flap on the other side of the signature, I can always attach an extra page if I'm running out of pages, or, you know, make extra tip-ins or flip out pages. Sometimes I think when there's too many pages, I feel pressured to create more every day, so I just want to put a little bit less pressure on myself for this one, and I'm just going to put in less pages because I know I can always add in more. So now I'm just going to go ahead and organize all of my pages into 2 different signatures. So I also want to add a little eyelet at the top of the spine here, just to give me an option to put a little charm on here if I want to later. I think I also want to add some book corners on here. It's a little bit harder to put book corners on a soft cover like this, but I'm doing my best. So now what I want to do is I'm going to just grab a little piece of scrap paper and measure it to be the size of this, and then we'll start installing our signatures. So this is the exact purpose that I save a lot of these cutoffs from digitals, just like white paper. Okay. So what I'm going to do to mark where I want the holes to go, I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. And I'm also just going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to take each side and fold it back into the center. Because of these folds that we made, now we can see exactly where we want to punch our holes. I'm going to mark top, middle, and bottom line. And I'm putting the marks right where those lines meet the outer crease marks, if that makes sense. Just going to take a little binder clip and make sure it stays put. And taking my handy dandy math book, if you've been around my channel for a little bit, you know that I always use this math book to punch holes in my journals. And I'm just taking my awl and I'm going to punch a hole right where we marked. So now that the holes are punched, I'm just going to go back through them and make sure that the holes are big enough for me to put my needle through when I bind the pages together. Okay, so I have my signatures all binded in. They look really good. First of all, I want to put in a little pocket on the front cover here. Probably go around the edges of some of these pages and put some washi, maybe even some lace or some trim. And yeah, I'll just kind of take you along with what I do. Also, I wanted to show you, these are the new free digitals that I'm gonna have available in my Ko-fi account. They're just so cute. I love how they turned out. So I made these because in my junk journal planners, I love to have a memo pad or some kind of like small writing area that I can jot down my to-do list for the day. I decided to just make some up myself on Canva, and this is what I came up with. Very autumnal with a little woodland creature and a leaf, some mushrooms. This journal has a very strong mushroom theme, and the little snail. So I printed it out on 2 different kinds of paper. This is just like a craft paper, and then this is regular, just white printer paper. And these will be available in my Ko-fi account that you can download for completely free and use them in your own journaling. I really hope you like them. And I just went ahead and sewed around the edges of this. I really like the look of the metallic thread poking out, so I just didn't want to cover any of that up. And then I also have this tiny little window pocket, and I'm thinking of putting it like right here. I was thinking of, I have this like random sunflower, and I was thinking of putting that there, so maybe I'll just put this here, and I think I'll just put a little piece of like vellum or something in there. Let me grab some. And I am going to go ahead and sew around these edges as well. I think I'm just going to glue this right on there. I just like how it kind of offsets this tiny little bag on the front and just adds a little bit more of an autumnal element. And this is pretty thick and bulky, but I'm not too worried about that because I did, I think, leave plenty of room in this journal. I made it a lot thicker than I made the other ones, so I'm hoping that I'm not going to be bulking this up too much. Okay, so I think I have this as decorated as I want it to be, just to start off with, and obviously as the month of November goes on, I'll be adding to it. I did find a bunch of these cute little mini printables that I had from when I made some mini fairy journal kits. There are actually still a few available in my Etsy shop if you're interested. I altered an Altoids tin and then created little mini journals with a bunch of mini printables, and these were some of the ones that I had left over that I totally forgot I had in my stash. So I pulled some of these out because I thought they would make really cute additions for some of the pages, like maybe as little tabs or just bits and bobs to add to each page. But I'm just going to set them aside for now, and I'm going to put them in this little envelope and then put this bulldog clip right in the front here. So I just have some little bits and bobs that I can add throughout the month. I do have a whole box full of things that I'll be sifting through each day as I'm creating, but it's nice to have little things in my journal just so I can make sure I do not forget, and I definitely want to use up these. So really all the things that I did were just add some little bits of trim to the edges, and then I had some leftovers, so I just stuck some on the bottom of this envelope for a little bit of extra texture. Added some of my memo pages to some of the pages, and then just little bits like this envelope here. I added this really pretty foresty trim. I'm really not sure what it's called, but I love it. And I actually used a lot of this in some of the fairy journals that I made in the spring. What I did with the fairy journals that I made earlier this year was I actually ran some like gold wire, like jewelry wire, through this and then beaded it. So then you had these like really beautiful beads kind of dangling from the edges of the book. So I'll probably end up doing that at some point. But I just love how this turned out, so foresty and woodsy. If you've been around, you know that I love nature journals, so definitely happy to get back to more of that vibe. Anyway, I will do a formal flip through now with no talking and just show you what all I did. And this is the journal that I'll be using for the month of November. I really love how it turned out. Again, I'm just so excited to get back to my roots, get back to more of like a nature vibe and more of a just like incorporating a lot of the natural elements. I will leave all of the digitals that I can think of that I used in this journal in the description below. And I will also be leaving a link to the little memo pad freebies that I made, so you can use them in your own journaling if you like them. I hope you liked this journal. I hope you enjoyed the video of me putting it all together. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye!